Hello, everybody, and welcome back to your social media compass. My name is Jacqueline Baker, and I'm joined here by my friend Daniel Conforti. How are you today?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, of course. I think this is going to be an amazing conversation.
Let's jump into it.
So tell us, who are you? Yeah, who are you? What do you do? What makes you awesome? I want to know.
Yeah, so I'm a physical therapist. I own a cash practice in Orlando, Florida. I've been a physical therapist for almost 5 years now, and I started my cash practice almost 3 years ago. Main reason I made the transition from working for like an insurance-based clinic and started my own thing was just risk of burning out. In healthcare and physical therapy specifically, the burnout rate is unfortunately like 2.5-ish years. So a lot of people go to school, pay $100,000 to $150,000 in loans, and then they get into a job and think they're going to change lives, and it ends up just kind of turning on them, and they kind of, despite having spent all that money and doing all the education, they end up, not liking their profession. So I felt that kind of slowly trickling into my own life. And I was still at the point where I did like what I did, like what I was doing. And it wasn't a complete burnout, but I wanted to get ahead of the eight ball and not burn out. So I decided to go out on my own. Obviously, I knew that clinical skill set, there was much to learn still because I was only 2.5 years out of school at that point. But I had to take the risk because otherwise I was just going to leave the profession as a whole.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting. Sometimes I feel like you're just so much better off just starting, even if you're not 100% ready, and kind of just getting ready as you go into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know for sure. I mean, there's never going to be the right time to start. You're never going to wake up one day and be like, all right, I did everything I need to do before I start this small business. Let's do it. There's always going to be doubts and, imposter syndrome in the mix. But I spoke to so many entrepreneurs, both physical therapists and just people in different trades, and they all said that they wish they started their business sooner. They wish they didn't wait, for the perfect opportunity. And so I was like, the hell with it. Let's do it. And kind of did it as a side hustle at first, and it grew quicker than I expected. And eventually I was able to go full time, which was awesome.
Yeah, no, I love that. I completely agree with you. A lot of people that I've spoken to over the years said the only regret I have in my business is not starting sooner.
Uh-huh.
It's like the time is going to pass no matter what you do. So you might as well, start with what you have and use the skills you have. And the skills you don't have, you'll learn as you go.
Yeah, and entrepreneurship is a journey. There's a lot of, you have to be flexible in the moment and really, roll with the punches. But I love the process, and I love that every day is different as an entrepreneur. And I didn't know how much I would love like being a small business owner until I actually did it. But it's almost something I like more than actually being a clinician. So I'm glad I fell into this role as a small business owner.
Amazing. No, I love to hear that. How do you promote yourself mostly?
So obviously, like growing a small business, you have to be kind of intertwined in your local community. You have to build genuine relationships with, other people that are in your sphere and that are treating your avatar and that are interacting with the people that you want to interact with. So on a local level, I really try to, set aside to do local marketing and build those relationships and really like foster those relationships, not just about like the quantity, but about the quality of the relationships. And aside from like local in-person marketing, obviously I do a lot of social media. That's how we connected. So I really try to be consistent in putting out education and, busting myths about, physical fitness and physical therapy. And I enjoy being consistent with social media, and that's really, really helped. Obviously, trying to collect as much Google reviews as possible definitely helps boost that organic, social media and Google presence. And word of mouth. I mean, at the end of the day, if you do a good job and you deliver an awesome product to your customers and patients, then they're going to speak about you. And that's really been helpful because, I'm seeing the fruits of my labor of, providing excellent customer service over the past 3 years. And I'm, getting people coming back to me. I'm getting people referring their friends and family. And those are the best referrals for sure.
100% referrals go such a long way. Like one happy client could easily refer you to five of their friends.
Yeah, for sure. You have to. It's not just about like my skill set. It's about the customer experience and um, kind of the their interpretation of the culture of the company. Not just that like I have an awesome skill set as a physical therapist. It's so much more than that. When I'm trying to deliver a product that's above and beyond, what's offered at the run of the mill like PT clinic.
For sure. Do you feel like social media helps you get clients?
Absolutely. One of the big things that really helped me on social media is like local Facebook groups. So really trying to engage with people in those groups, provide them with knowledge and, answer their questions. That's been really helpful for getting more organic leads. And then, I try to post content, both like videos and educational graphics on a weekly basis. And, you know, based on who interacts with those posts, trying to direct message them and start conversations and just kind of learn where they're at, if they're having an injury, and seeing if I can offer any advice, because, you never know where your next referral is going to come from. Like if you stay top of mind with people, then you're the first person they think of when, their knee starts to act up or they throw their back out. And I think that if I can be that kind of presence for them, whether I've met them in person or not yet, I think that goes a long way.
For sure. Yeah, no, Facebook groups could also be very helpful. I've heard a lot of great things about them from, friends and family.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in a local networking group a lot, and we leverage Facebook groups a whole lot. And I mean, for a physical therapist, there's not always someone in a Facebook group asking for a physical therapist. But when there are posts, I tend to be able to convert those to patients pretty easily. So that's been very fruitful in my business since the beginning. My first patient ever was actually from a Facebook group.
That's amazing. Because I originally found you on LinkedIn and I thought you were doing very well.
Yeah, I really try to post on all the platforms as much as possible. I've gotten referrals through LinkedIn, so I think that it can be a useful tool if you know how to leverage it.
Oh, for sure. It's also knowing like, okay, this platform works best for me. I'm going to respect that and use it more often.
Yeah, for sure. I would say in my industry and specifically for my practice, Facebook has definitely been above and beyond the other platforms. And then I'd say second to that is probably my Google review profile.
Yeah, and the fact that you know that is great, because some people like just aren't sure. They're like, you know what? I'm not entirely sure where I'm supposed to be. Let's do some homework and figure it out. But you're already ahead of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. Do you post on Facebook every day, every other day? Do you have a routine?
It's been a mix. So right now I'm posting consistently twice a week. Sometimes I'll throw another random post in there. But I would say when I was the most consistent, I was posting 3 times a week. It all depends on what content I have batched and ready. So in the past, like I was posting like an exercise video and then like, a clip from a podcast and then like an educational graphic. So that was like a flow of 3 different things a week. Right now I'm doing some podcast clips and then an educational graphic. So it's twice a week. So, but I haven't missed a week for like the past 2 years. So I've been very consistent.
That's fantastic. Do you schedule the content or do it kind of like on the fly the day of?
So I've done both. Right now I have it batched, like I have everything ready, but I don't have it like preloaded into the actual social media. I've done that before, but what I've noticed, and I've also heard this from others, that like the algorithm favors when you don't use those platforms that cross post. I think when you post directly from the platform itself, I've seen better analytics actually, and I've heard the same thing from some other business owners. So it's interesting that if you take the time and actually post individually, while it is time consuming, there's a difference in the analytics.
Yeah, because what you can do is just write up the post in a Google Doc or something like that, so it's done, and then just copy paste it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I do. But I don't use I know there were back in the day it was like Hootsuite, and there's a bunch of different like programs where you can kind of like just set it so it posts to all these platforms, and it is super convenient. But I have an administrative assistant that helps with my social media, so that's not on my plate necessarily. But just looking at the analytics, I think it's worth the extra 5 minutes to go and actually just post on all the platforms.
Yeah, that's another amazing thing. Like not everyone even knows how to look at their analytics. So the fact that like, okay, I'm going to go in and look at this and see what I can do better, like that's a really good thing.
Oh, for sure. You want to try to replicate the content that does well, and try to analyze why it did well, who engaged with it, where do they live, what is their demographic, and really you can get really into the weeds with it. And it does make a difference. It just takes patience.
Exactly. I cannot agree with you more. How long have you been on social media promoting yourself for? Like, when did you start the accounts?
Oh, very early on. It's probably one of the first things I did. But as far as like posting consistently, I would say like in the first probably like 2 months of business, once I kind of got out of my own way, because I feel like at first I was kind of afraid to post something like, what are people going to think of this? Like, what are my old classmates going to think of this? What are my friends going to think of this? And that was just with a graphic. And now I'm obviously posting videos of myself saying ridiculous things. So I really don't care anymore because I think that it's just in my own head. But I think that for a lot of people, when they're first starting out with posting on social media, they kind of have that block, that imposter syndrome, that they think other people are going to think negatively about it, but really it's just their own perception. So yeah, my advice to anyone who's starting, yeah, for sure.
It's usually the opposite. Like, most people usually think it's great.
Yeah, exactly. Put yourself out there. You never know what's going to come of it.
I know. And I know it's hard. Like, I even feel it too sometimes, but it's just kind of reminding yourself, okay, like, no one else is going to notice this that I don't like about this post. Like, they're going to think it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't like listening to themselves after it's recorded, but I've gotten so many compliments on, the way I present myself in my videos and, kind of my tonality. That is not something I would ever compliment myself on, but you just never know how other people view you.
I know. And like the voice thing, I definitely think you could get used to it. You just have to kind of listen to yourself enough, and then it becomes second nature, I guess you could say.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely more used to it now than I was in the beginning when I was posting like short form reels. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, this is my voice. I'm going to embrace it.
Yeah, it's yours to keep. It's not going anywhere.
What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out, like, marketing themselves online?
Get organized. Like, don't wait till the last second to come up with the content. Really brainstorm and write out ideas, and just, with the intention that you're going to scrap some of those ideas. But I think that if you can have a session where you're sitting down for, 2 to 3 hours and just jotting down ideas that are in your head, a lot of content can come from that, rather than, spending 10 minutes the day before or even day of trying to think of something really quick and, rushing to put it all together. I think, blocking time for content development can be very, very helpful and less stressful.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts, ideas, advice before we start wrapping up?
Yeah, I mean, I think that social media is a great tool, but I think that it's not the only thing that is important when starting a small business. I think that it's another layer on top of everything else, and it can be helpful, but there's a lot of other things that you need to do locally when you're growing a small business that can help as well. And when you do those things, you also see your social media presence grow. So it's like, indirectly from doing local marketing, your social media presence is going to grow as well. So it's not like you have to choose one or the other. I think that they both work simultaneously and symbiotically.
100%. How can we get in touch with you? What's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm most active on Facebook. So I have a personal page that's kind of a business page as well. Name's Daniel Comforti, and then my business page is New Horizons Physical Therapy, and then the website is newhorizonsrehabilitation.com. So, happy to answer any questions. If any of your listeners want to direct message me and we can chat, or, just offer some advice. If you have a nagging ache or injury or a pain that you want dealt with, just let me know. Shoot me a direct message.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah. So everybody, Daniel's information will be in the show notes. So definitely connect with him on LinkedIn, Facebook, all the other social channels. He's awesome. And until next time, I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye, everybody.